Right then, so bit of a unexpected adventure in an ID.Buzz this weekend. Unfortunately, our camper van is off the road. The cam belt decided to shred itself and we didn't get to where we were going. Now that left us in a bit of a pickle for this weekend. It's Stanford Hall weekend. It's a show that we go to every single year as a club. It's a show that I love. I've been going there for over 20 years. I didn't want to miss out. We booked our space months ago. So I popped an email across to our friends over there at Volkswagen press office. And I just said, I know it's a bit late, but is there any chance you can help us out? Here's my predicament. We've got to get the club shop to Stanford Hall. I don't suppose you've got a van that I could borrow. Maybe an ID.Buzz Cargo. And here we have it. So we've had the ID.Buzz for the last couple of days. And I think it's fantastic. It's just like driving a go-kart. You point it in the right direction, you press go, and off it goes. It's great. I'm really enjoying driving it, and I really don't want to give it back. But it's done absolutely fantastic this weekend at carting all our stock to Stanford Hall. Everything fits in the back with absolutely no dramas. There's plenty of room back there for carrying our bits and bobs. We had a bit of a long-winded journey to Stanford Hall yesterday. My daughter plays rugby, so first stop on the way was to stop off with her team as they played in Featherstone. We then had to get over to Warrington, and then because we didn't have the camper van, we stayed over in a hotel last night. This is just a van, not a camper. So we stayed over in a hotel last night in Rugby. So we drove from Warrington to Rugby last night, and in that time, in all those journeys that we've done, we've clocked up a few miles, and I stopped off yesterday evening at services just off the M6, and I popped in a little bit of charge just to make sure that we got to Stanford Hall comfortably. We did. You had plenty of range left in the bus. So we did okay. Now, over the course of today, the doors have been opened and closed. The infotainment's been turned on. So that had a little bit of an impact into what range we were coming back to. But I still came back to 37% range, but that's not quite enough to get me home. So we've just stopped off at McDonald's in Leicester. Plugged into an InstaVolt charger. 50 minutes in there while we've had something to eat, and we're now 100% charged. That'll get me home, with no drama. It'll leave plenty of juice in the battery to do whatever we do next, and to leave plenty of range in there for the person whoever comes and picks it up from us on Tuesday. A much less stressful process than when I borrowed the ID.4. The ID.4, great car, but I came a cropper on the charging network. I stopped off at services expecting to just be able to plug in, and all the chargers were out of order. There was a lesson learnt there. I learnt a little bit more about how the infrastructure works. Very fast learning curve, but that's helped me this weekend. And with that little bit of planning ahead, no drama. Everything's been spot on. I haven't had to worry about where I'm going to plug in. I've known where I'm going to go. I've known what the charges are. I know that they're high powered. And I've bundled it in with doing something else, like getting something to eat, which I don't mind doing on a long journey. Now, the one thing that I am taking a little bit of getting used to, and I didn't notice this on the ID.4 because I drove that in the height of summer, but I didn't realise that everything is controlled from one stalk. My indicators, my high beam, my windscreen wipers, wash wipe, rear wipe, everything's all on that one stalk. So I keep reaching for the gear stick, essentially, with my fingers on my right hand to just knock the wipers on. There's a little bit of drizzle around today, but I just keep knocking that and having to remind myself that that's where I change it into drive or reverse, and the wipers are all on here on a little rotational switch. Now, we've had this ID.Buzz Cargo on display next to our club stall for the entire day at Stanford Hall VW Show, and with it being a bigger vehicle than some of the other cars that we had on display, I kept it towards the back so it didn't block anything else in. I don't want to take anything else away from any members' cars. I still want the members that we invite to come along, I still want them to be able to, you know, show their cars off as well. So I parked the ID.Buzz at the back, and I didn't know whether that'd have an impact in the amount of people that would spot it. It's not one of the PR pictured two-tone models. It's just a single colour, a dark metallic pearl blue colour, and depending what light you look at it in, sometimes it looks black, sometimes it looks purple. When the sun hits it, it's a really nice colour. But I didn't know whether it had just sort of blend in. But there were so many people that came by, and they told me that this was the first time that they'd seen a Buzz in the metal. A few people taking note of the size of the storage area in the back. You can see them working out measurements in their head. You know, can we fit a camping interior in there? Can we fit a bed in? I don't think there's as much room back there as what there is in my T4, but yeah, you can make anything work. So I think when I get the opportunity, I'll get a tape measure on the back before I hand this back, and I'll just see what size the floor space is, how big is it, and then I don't know, maybe draw up some plans, maybe one day. But yeah, it's gone down really well. A lot of interest again, and yeah, I have to say thank you to VW for lending us it, for getting us out of a sticky situation, but also for bringing in so many people into our club stall this weekend. Now, I don't know if you can see from the in-car cameras that we've got going on here, there is an expanse of dashboard ahead, and it reminds me of when the new Beetle first came out. And when you sat in the new Beetle, you were essentially sat halfway back in the car, and there was just this expanse of dashboard ahead, and it just reminds me of that. The styling, the pretty much the flat front of the Buzz, harking back to that original concept, and the styling of the split screen van. It just means that everything's pushed further forward. Now, there's a little flap that opens as a bonnet. Obviously there's no engine under there, but there is somewhere to fill your washer bottle up and everything. But yeah, not much else that you can see. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that VW have stuck with that concept that was originally created 22 years ago, when the new Beetle had landed, and there was the hype there around it. They created the concept of what has now become the Buzz, and it doesn't have the 3.2 litre V6 engine that concept has, but it has the drivetrain of the future. It has the electric drivetrain, and I'd have one. I tell you what I have noticed, and I noticed this while I was driving through some roadworks yesterday. I was in the outside lane as we went through the roadworks, and I just realised how narrow the lane felt at that point. Now, we've got a handy little sticker up here from VW Commercial that just reminds us of the height and width of the Buzz, and it's 1 metre and 93 centimetres high, but it's 2 metres and 21 centimetres wide. Now that's quite significant, I think, and I've noticed it when trying to park in a parking space. Some spaces can feel a little bit snug, and when I was coming past these two drag racing trucks yesterday, and I was in the narrow outside lane of the motorway, I daredn't flinch. So I felt so close to the truck and so close to the barrier on the outside. When it's not my van, I felt a little bit uncomfortable. So this particular model, it's a 72 plate, so it's a 2022 model. Everything is still the same as what I had on the ID.4. All touch controls on here, touch controls on the steering wheel, and just down to the right down here, the headlight switch. That's all touch controls too. That switch also controls the heated windscreen, the heated rear screen, and fog lights, etc. as well. But yeah, it's all still touch control. And my least favourite part is the little ledge underneath here. Oh look, I'm waving at it and making it change screen. But my least favourite bit is this little ledge underneath the infotainment screen here, that should you rest your finger on it while you're wanting to press buttons on the radio, you'll cause either the volume to change or the temperature to change or something. So yeah, so that's not my favourite part. There's so much storage space for binders and paperwork and receipts and tools and everything. Your typical tradie, I'll have plenty of room to store the gubbins up there, but it's just pockets everywhere. It's great. There's so much storage space. And Claire's packed me up and put me a load of drinks in the door pockets down here. I'm not going to drink that much. I'll have to stop every 5 minutes for a wee. But yeah, loads of storage, loads of space, and there's loads of charging points as well. There's 2 charging points here. There's a charging point in the door over there. There's 2 charging points in the storage up the top here. Yeah, it's loads of storage space. So we've got a heated seat for the driver. Now this particular model that we've got here has got a twin passenger seat, so my little girls loved that, getting to ride around with both me and her mum up front in the bus. She's enjoyed that, and so much so that she was out hunting for a double seat for our T4 today as well. So, but yeah, we missed out on one. She found one. I think it were a good price. She came back to get me, went back, and it had gone. Whoops. We've got plenty of driving assistance in here. We've got adaptive cruise control. That is my favourite thing. I suppose it might make me a bit lazy, but yeah, I like it. I think it's a great invention. We've also got lane assist. I think lane assist's a bit of a Marmite thing. Some people love it, some people hate it. I like it. It does have its gremlins every now and again, particularly when you go through somewhere that had the white lines got erased and replaced, and just causes a bit of chaos every now and again. And I think you just got to watch what you're doing with it. You got to be aware, and you got to make sure you use your indicators. If you don't use your indicators and you try and switch lanes, the lane assist is going to try and shove you back into the middle of your lane. So use your indicators, and there's no problems. We've got a parking menu button over here. Yep, park assist, distance control. Yep. So I haven't tried it in this. I have used park assist before. I used it in my Tiguan, and it was brilliant. It was so funny to use it when I had passengers in the car for the first time, and the car turned the steering wheel on its own, and it freaked them out a little bit. I thought that was great. Okay, so one of the things that people have picked up on today while we've been talking is the size of the wheels. The wheels and tyre combination. I think it gives a nice ride. It's not crashy, it's not bangy, but we are sitting on 19-inch rims. There's still a decent amount of tyre wall there. I mean, this ain't going to be a light van. It's going to have some decent weight in it, because batteries and everything, but I think the tyres and wheel and tyre combination, I think it rides the bumps well. I think it works well. 19-inch rims, a few people have pointed out, a few people have been taking pictures. They're obviously scratching their heads whether they can fit them on the T5, T6, whatever. I suppose it'll be something different. So yeah, people have commented on the height of the floor in the back of the van. It's a bit higher than what you get in your traditional transporter, your T4, T5, T6, whatever. But because the batteries will be mounted within the chassis to keep the centre of gravity low, that is going to have an impact and raise the floor a little bit. So there's not that much headroom in there, but I'm sure all that can be changed with a pop top. Don't think it'll be long before we see those out on the market, if they're not already out there already. So yeah, so overall, I'm really happy with this ID.Buzz Cargo. I really like it. I'd have one, but not for the same purpose as my T4 Transporter. And that's only because I do big miles, and I'll quite happily jump in my van and I'll do 350 miles, and essentially without turning the engine off. We've done it before. We'll drive from Sheffield down to Devon, and we won't stop on the way. We'll pull off and swap drivers, and then carry on going again, because we'll be travelling through the night, and we'll be letting our little one sleep. So if we had to stop and turn the engine off and have a break, then it'd wake her up. And we do that quite often. So yeah, I don't think I could replace my camper van with one of these just yet. But I'm really enjoying driving it. I really like the styling of it. I'm glad that VW have been brave and stuck to their guns on the concept designs from the early 2000s. And yeah, I think it's definitely got a place. It's been fantastic for us to use it as the club this weekend. for carting all our stock around. So yeah, it's definitely got a place, and yeah, I'd happily have one. Yeah, so that's it from me. Go buy a Buzz.